Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Life Unfiltered with Jackson Royan. I am so excited about this episode. I'm going to share my principles for extraordinary living with you. And hopefully, in sharing these 10 principles, there are some nuggets for you, some that you want to adopt for yourself, some that resonate with you, some won't, some will. Um, yeah, I've developed these over the it took me 2 years to put them together. And these are principles that my daughter and I, she's 8 now, Lily, we recite them every single morning. Um, I have been really blessed. I have worked with organizations that have lived out their organizational values in a very real way. And I have worked with profoundly impactful leaders that have lived out their principles in very real ways. And then I have been surrounded by mentors and thought leaders that have lived out their values and their principles in the external world in really, really real ways. And so and that's been in the marketplace and kind of in the business world. And I wanted to capture some of that for myself. And I'm very practical. I'm a very practical person, and I like lists. And so I wanted to take those principles and those ideas and those concepts and make it real and mean something for me. And so over a period of 2 years, really did the hard work of the deep work and self-reflection of figuring out kind of who I was, what was important to me, but also kind of went on a journey to say, what are some of the things that I need to, what are some of the things that I need to guard against? And so in my value system, need to put guardrails up against. And so over the course of these 2 years, these kind of principles surfaced, and I then codified it in a set of 10 repeatable phrases. And it is something that safeguards me when I'm going through seasons that are harder than others. There are some of the principles that remind me of what to do to that keep me safe, mentally strong. When I am going through seasons of success, there are principles in there in the set of 10 that keep me grounded and humble. And then when I am feeling a bit untethered, there are principles that help me just stay within the context of my life. And so I also, as a mother, really, there are things that I think I wish I had known in an articulated way much younger in life. And so it's very important to me. I do leadership development and leadership training and work with C-suite. And one of my biggest mandates and assignments is to unlock potential in others. And so bringing that home and making sure that I do that for Lily meant that I wanted to, in a very real way, articulate the things that will set me up for success in life if I lean into them and adhere to them. And so be able to, again, codify that and then duplicate that into her. And although, she's 8, right? And so we recite them in the morning, and then, she'll pick a principle, and we'll be like, Lily, which principle are you living out? And she'll pick one and I'll pick one. And then in the evening, we'll be like, okay, so how did that show up and what does that mean? And I'll kind of send checks sporadically. So what does it mean when we say this? Or what does it look like? And sometimes she's like, well, I don't really know. And it's such a journey of seeing this kind of play out in life. But at least we're on a journey together. And so it's a mechanism for me to ensure that my value system is duplicated into my daughter on purpose. And the things that I know to be true in life that will ensure extraordinary living, I equip her with those frameworks and skills in a very succinct way that will set her up for success. And these 10 principles for extraordinary life are transferable for me into business. And so I have a kind of mirror of these principles for work. And so as a business consultant, I have it's a very slight kind of permutation of my principles for an application for work. But it's basically the same thing because I'm a consultant. And so a personal consultant, it's not like they need to be very different. So I'm really excited about sharing these principles with you and unpacking what each of those mean. And this might be a 2-part podcast. This might be one. We'll see how long it plays out, but I'm really excited to share this with you guys. And again, hopefully, some of these might resonate with you. And if they do, I hope that you will adopt them for yourself and share them with your families and your friends or in your businesses and help and live those out. And yeah, that's the hope, right? We do life together and we do life on purpose. And then by being vulnerable and sharing my journey with you, make life just a little bit better. So principle number 10, I always lead with love. Now, this was an interesting one for me. It is, in my personal journey, it is I have found it to be very easy, number one, internally, to be harsh and self-critical. And so when we think of leading with love, we always assume, okay, well, I'm going to lead externally with love and lead into conversations with love. And that is so important. And that is absolutely what I lead with love means. The other side of that is I lead with love first means I lead myself with love. Knowing how to be gentle and kind with ourselves is probably one of the hardest things that we have to do as human beings. The default I have found in every human being that I have dealt with, the default narrative is critical. That default self-talk is so harsh and so critical that it almost mandates a principle or a value that says, be gentle or be kind, or I lead with love. And that I lead with love first means I lead here with love. And then, of course, the I lead with love is we have no idea what other people are going through. There have been seasons in my life. I'm a really great mask wearer. Personally, I'm a very great mask wearer. I think most of the people, 90% of people in my life think I am 100% okay all of the time. I really struggle with vulnerability and intimacy in proximity, right? So this is easy. Sharing via a podcast seems so much easier than being real and vulnerable in an intimate setting. And so 90% of the people in my life think that I'm okay. And so when I consider that, and then I consider how we can sometimes be so harsh with each other without knowing where that other person is, it is sometimes the kindness of leading with love in every situation first that just, it creates space. Yeah, it just creates space for the unexpected to happen. So there is a thing, I'm unapologetically Christian, and there is a thing that always comes up for me. It is the love of Christ that leads others to repentance, right? And so when we lead with love first in every situation, we create a space for engagement. You have no idea what that angry driver is going through, or that child throwing a tantrum on the floor is going through, or the really grumpy teller, or the executive that has given you an absolutely harsh word, or the client that's slamming down a phone, or we fill in the gap. When you're the person that is consistently leading with love, you're the person that's consistently creating a space for something to happen. And I have seen it in my life when I choose to lead with love. And I don't get this right all the time, guys. Having the principle means that it's something that I aspire to, right? Please don't think that I have these principles and that means I'm Yoda. That is not the case. It means that that's the set, that's the aspiration. That is what I try and hold myself accountable to every single day. And hopefully, that I don't fall too far short of. But in my life, when I have chosen to lead and successfully led with love first, what has followed has been transcendent. And so absolutely leading with love is principle number 10. And so a great story here is little Lily has, there was a Friday where she wants to lead with love. And she came home after choosing lead with love. And she came home and I said to her, so how did your principal show up how did it show up for you today? And she said, my principal, Mr. Hooper, Mom, because she goes to Cairo, she said, my principal, Mom, he really knows how to lead with love. And for me, an 8-year-old that can recognize this principle in action in someone else, that was so special for me. That was really special for me. And so that's principle 10. Principle 9. I am always learning. Now, this is, anyone that knows me knows that this is an absolute truth. I am a student of life. I believe that the second you stop learning, you should probably retire your life. Okay, that's not like you should probably go and live in a hut. That's what I meant. If you are not learning, you are not growing. And if you are not growing, you cannot meaningfully contribute to society. You are the ceiling for your kids. You are the ceiling at work, whether you're an employee, whether you're a housewife or a stay-at-home dad, whether you are a person in full-time ministry, if you are leading an organization, if you are not learning on purpose, and I am not talking about accidental or incidental learning, like learning by the way as you go. I'm talking about purposeful. I'm committing to learning X, Y, Z, and I'm going to invest in that development. Then you are the ceiling to the humans you are serving. And that, I think, is such a crime, because we are all mandated. We are all here serving other individuals. As parents, we are here to serve and steward our children. As leaders, we are here to serve and steward those that we are accountable to. As people in ministry, I mean, that's a whole other kettle of fish. But if we are not learning, we are not growing. And there is something when we are actively learning, and it stimulates a curiosity, an awe and wonder about the world around us that just keeps us mentally engaged. And that, if you apply that as a principle in your life, this curiosity, it 10x's the quality of the life that you live. And it doesn't have to be academic. It can be, well, I really want to learn more about art, or I want to figure out who Picasso was. I want to learn about AI. I'm geeking out about AI in my context right now. And it's so much fun. And I'm by no means going to be an AI expert one day. But for right now, it is adding incredible amounts of value to my life. You might want to be, you want to figure out something about history. Whatever it is for you, that spirit of curiosity adds a flavor and dimension to your life that unlocks a childlike wonder that isn't there when you are closed-minded. And so this I am always learning principle, number one, it just makes you so much more meaningful, like a meaningful contributor in life. It just really does. You're just so much more impactful in society when you are always learning and not just consuming knowledge, but finding ways to distribute that and meaningfully sow that back into the communities that you serve. But number two, just how that fills your cup. I would highly recommend that you adopt that principle. Number 8. Now, remember I said I have some principles that are safeguards and guardrails in my life that prevent me from being self-destructive? This is one of them. I sleep on it every time, no question. Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I am quite a passionate, emotional human being. So I have a track record. I have a whole testimony. I have a whole track record of seeing how I have self-destructed and how I have self-sabotaged by being too reactive. And a mechanism for self-protection and safeguarding that has absolutely, unequivocally protected me from that is sleeping on it. If I get a client email that triggers me, if I have a conversation with a friend that is hurtful, if something happens in the family that brings up some emotion, fill in the gap, whatever it is. If there's something, if an exciting opportunity presents itself and I need to make a decision, whatever the case is, if huge emotions are triggered or there is a big decision to be made, I have learned that there is nothing more powerful than time between being presented with the situation and then responding. There is a powerful a line I heard once, and it said, you can choose to react from emotion or you can respond from strategy. And the way I leverage that is I sleep on it every time, no question. And so whether I have to make a decision about a business opportunity or a big life decision, or whether I am trying to just create some space between responding to something negative, an emotional thing, I make sure I sleep on it every time, no question. And I've shared this principle with my son, and he is as emotional as I am, and it has set him up for success. And so this is, if you are someone who has a habit of especially in the negative, self-sabotaging or putting your foot in it, guys, sleep on it every time, no question. It has helped me regulate like unbelievably. And so that absolutely, number 8, I sleep on it every time, no question. That principle has absolutely transformed my life. Just that one little one has transformed my life. Woo! Principle number 7. Lily and I love leaning into this one. No excuses. I do things scared. So this kind of says what it does in the tin. We are firm believers that everything worthwhile is on the other side of fear. I feel like a chop doing most of the things that I attempt to do most of the time. I could just like, but I refuse not to put myself out there. I refuse not to put myself out there, because every single time I do, the first time is the only time it's that scary. Once the first time is done, it's done. That was the first time. The first time is always the most scary. And then it's done. Then the first time is over. Not like, no excuses. I do things scared. We can't listen to the I'm too scared or the what ifs or the I can't or I'm not qualified or what if it's not good enough? What if no one watches? What if I make mistakes? So what? So what? I'm doing it because I said I was going to do it, and I'm going to try, because it's on the opposite side of fear where magic happens all the time, every time. If we look at all of the heroes that we have, if we look at all of the greats, nothing happened in the safety of their comfort zones. Nothing great ever happens in the safety of our comfort zones. And we can choose to sit there in our little nunu blankets and judging everyone else that's trying. Or we can get up, as uncomfortable as we are, as insecure, as scared, as ill-equipped as we feel, and we can just do it. And we can just go for it. And it's going to be messy, and we know it, and we're going to stumble through it, and it's going to be okay. And you're not going to die. But did you die? No, never. No excuses. I do things scared, because like everything else, everything worthwhile is on the other side of fear. And Lily does this all the time. She went to her first jiu-jitsu meet a couple of weeks ago, and she came second. I mean, she's unbelievable. And her principle she was reciting all the way down was no excuses, I do things scared. No excuses, I do things scared. Because she gets that if she wants to live a life that is worthwhile, if you want an extraordinary life, you're going to have to be okay with a certain measure of fear. It is what it is. Okay, number 6, I vote for my future self every day. Now this, guys, is one I struggle with a lot. This is that investment. It speaks to that I'm always learning, right? But this is one where I choose to go for the walk. I choose to read the book. I choose to do the reflection. I choose to wake up at 5. I choose to make the healthy or eat the healthy meal. I choose to vote for my future self every day, whatever that future version of yourself looks like. It's not the same for every person. It really isn't, right? We all have different dreams and hopes and versions and visions of our future. Whatever that is, whatever your today investment into your tomorrow self needs to be, you cast a vote for your future self every day. And it doesn't need to be big. We have these unrealistic expectations of what it will take for us to achieve that. And so we have this inertia. We don't do anything because we think, well, if I want to do X, Y, or Z, it's going to take this massive upheaval push. And we don't realize that it's just small action over time, compounded over time, that will create that success. And so for me, when I said, principle number 6, I vote for my future self every day, it's a reminder that it's incremental investments over time where I choose to vote for that future me, for that future Lily, for that future version of us, deliberately and on purpose every day, by taking the dogs for 2 laps around the block, or having a salad with our dinner, even if we're having chicken pie, having the salad with the dinner, doing those small little things every single day, or making sure we have dinner together, as opposed to, she having chicken nuggets in the bath. No, we sit around the dinner table. It's those small little investments every day over time that creates a life. And so that is our principle number 6. Number 5. This is, you see, we're heading up to the good stuff, right? It's all good stuff, but this is number 5. I speak clearly and truthfully with purpose. So I can waffle clearly. And so I read the 4 agreements, and one of the agreements is about being really precise with your words. And that's always resonated with me, right? So it's not just about being truthful, but it's also, and Jordan Peterson always speaks about this as well. And he's one of the most profound thought leaders in our time. He's going to go down as one of the greats, guys. If you think about any of the greats that have impacted our world, Churchill, Roosevelt, Jordan Peterson is going down as one of those greats. It's just, mark my words. Anyway, so speaking clearly is as profound as being truthful. And so it's something, because I get excited and I waffle and I feel like I'm not always 100% clear. It is definitely one of those safeguard principles that I've built into my 10, that I try and remind myself of every day. And clearly I'm a work in progress on this principle because I don't get it right. This is the one I'm struggling. I'm in a season right now, specifically with this one, where I feel I'm struggling the most. And so in order to combat this, I'm really going to put myself out in public speaking, more podcasts, that kind of stuff. Because the more I put myself out there like this, the clearer I have to be. And so speaking clearly is incredibly critical in a world where communication is so important. And communication, we know, when I have a message, formulating that message and making sure that I'm understood is my responsibility. It's not up to, have you heard me? It's, have I articulated what I'm trying to say simply enough for you to understand, knowing that every word I'm saying has to go through all of your filters, all your preconditioning, all of your own perceptions and your history and all of the noise of your own life. Every single word I'm saying is going through all of those filters. And still, communicating my message is my responsibility. It is not yours to receive. So speaking clearly is definitely something that I am still struggling with. And then truthfully with purpose. I am I really struggle with a need to be accepted and loved. And so I am much better at it. I mean, I'm 38 now, turning 39. I have built a successful consulting business and have done a lot of self-work. But at the level of vulnerability, I still struggle a lot with a need to be loved and accepted. And so often will not speak my truth, or I will leave a lot unsaid, even though I am a very disagreeable and confrontational person when it comes to business. I will still choose my words very carefully because I'm so afraid of rejection. It's also very seasonal. Anyway, so this speaking clearly and truthfully with purpose is something that I do wrestle with a lot. And it's not about not lying. It's about speaking your truth and being clear with your words. And so I don't know about you guys, but it's something that it's definitely something that I struggle with. It's definitely something that I struggle with. I'm so afraid of hurting people's feelings that I would rather not. Yeah, but that's also true. See, that's true and that's not true, because I will tell you the truth when we are in a situation, but then I won't volunteer certain information. So, okay, can you see? Anyway, so speaking clearly and truthfully with purpose, that, my friends, is a principle I wrestle with a lot, and that's principle number 5. Principle number 4, I say no when it's the right thing to do. This is a boundary principle. Again, this is one of my guardrails, and it's one of the ones that I'm really, Lily is a industrious little, she loves on people so much. And so for me, I'm trying to really get this into her DNA. It is okay to say no. There is power in saying no. I say no when it's the right thing to do is about boundaries. And it's about having the power of no fully installed and instilled into your heart, so that you can love people enough to say, I cannot show up for you in this way, but I can show up for you in that way. And knowing who I am enough to say no to the things that I know will be a compromise to me. Does that make sense? So that is a thing that I used to struggle with a lot. I'm a lot better at saying no now. I'm so much better at saying no. It's actually my favorite thing to do now, say no. So that's really good for me. 3, my favorite, I practice daily written reflection and gratitude. Gratitude specifically to combat depression and the low points. I have found that when I get really lonely and when I go through real dark moments, principle 2 and 3 are the ways that I combat that. Gratitude really helps me reframe my context. So I have a miracle jar. It's just moments where I feel like the Lord has really showed up in my life. I document when stuff has just gone my way, where the Lord has really shown up. And so when I'm going through seasons that I feel really down, I have an actual jar to go and call on and open up and go and read through and go, well, I can combat all of this negativity with the truth, with testimony from my own life. That is to the contrary of what, because often our mind, the mind is a powerful thing, right? So when I start spiraling, that's often not true. The negative self-talk, that stuff is not true. It is lie, right? It's negative. It's the lie. It's the lie. And the only way that I have found to combat that is with truth, to ground it in something that's real. And so when something positive happens in my life, I write it down, I document it, I put it in this jar. And so that when I'm feeling so low that I can't see hope, I go into that jar and I just sit and I go through all the truth, because then it's real. And so daily written reflection and gratitude is a powerful antidote. It's just, number 1, healthy. Reflection helps you stay self-aware. If we are not reflecting on how you're showing up in the world, or where you need to be a better human being, or a better parent, or a better leader, or what you need to focus on in order to grow. You're just existing. And then that just seems like, for me, that seems like a pretty mediocre existence, right? You could be so on purpose. There could be so much more if you just chose to be a little self-aware. And that can only be accessed through written reflection. And then gratitude is such a powerful antidote. Number one, it just helps you stay so grounded and appreciative of the gift of life, man. And then it's such a powerful antidote in seasons of depression and just blues, if you don't want to label it as something. And so that's been incredibly powerful. And that number two, my principle number two, is I actively look for ways to serve. This has been the most profound principle. Well, in helping me stay humble and stay grounded as a human, and has helped Lily stay humble and grounded and in gratitude for what we have. We actively look for ways to serve in our community. We actively look for ways to serve in church. I actively look for ways to serve as a consultant with my clients. I actively look for ways to serve in my relationships. When I'm feeling entitled, when I'm feeling disgruntled, when I'm feeling bitter or resentful, I go serve. Nothing is as powerful an antidote to those feelings of discontentment as servanthood. Because what it does is it takes my self-centered thinking and it forces me to go and think about someone else. So, guys, there is something so powerful of adopting the principle of actively looking for ways to serve other human beings that takes your focus off of yourself and just puts it onto other human beings, that transcends and propels your life to a different stratosphere of being, and to then equip our kids with that lens does something to them. And then principle number one, God first. In all things, God first. Wake up, it's God first in all things. And making sure that my plumb line is aligned and Lily's plumb line is aligned, and that no matter what we do or where we go, or that we know that who we are is in complete alignment with what we believe, and that all of those principles are filtered through whose we are, has kept us, even when we feel like we are not necessarily on track, has kept us together, has kept our feet on the ground. When my kids have felt like they are not on track in life, we have defaulted to these 10 principles, and it has gotten them back on track. When I have felt, man, I feel like I'm failing, I've defaulted to my principles and said, okay, well, I'm feeling disconnected. Okay, serve. Like I'm feeling a little bit, I'm feeling a bit discontent. Okay, gratitude. And so organizations, high-performing organizations, and have these cultures of excellence because they actively live out values. There are articulated values on the walls that people embody and carry out in the business of business, the being of business. And so living out principles and living out values and having them codified and articulated is not something new. And we can access that for ourselves, and we should access that for ourselves. And I hope that by sharing my 10 principles for extraordinary living, that there's something in there that resonates with you and that you can take and share with your family, with your business, with your teams, and hopefully that it keeps you in alignment when you're maybe veering off, or it takes your life to the next, stratosphere. It most certainly has helped us live our extraordinary lives. Guys, thank you for joining me this week for Life Unfiltered with Jax Van Rooyen. I cannot wait to see you next week again. Until then, stay blessed. Bye.